Hello, it is a beautiful day. I am really enjoying this sunshine and warmth, and all around me things are bursting into flower, growing rapidly, leaves are budding on the trees. It's fantastic and so needed after what has been actually a pretty miserable spring so far. It's been very cold and super wet and also very windy, and so I'm making the most of it really, and somehow it is also the middle of April. I'm not quite sure how that happened. I'm sure it was the start of March about 5 minutes ago. I thought I would give you a tour of my homestead just before things really start to get going in the garden and show you some of the things that I've been doing and some of the plans for the next week or so. I'm making the most of today because the forecast for tomorrow is grim again. Unsurprisingly, given the weather, I am pretty behind on many things. Lots of the plans I had for the winter time just didn't materialise because of the weather. And then this spring, when I've been here and I've been able to go into the garden, all too often it's been horizontal rain. But even so, I'm happy with how things are, and I've been doing a lot of sowing. I made myself a sowing station in the Polytunnel, so even when the weather was awful, I could still go in there and get things sown. It's that time of year now where I'm playing kind of musical pots, because I've got in the greenhouse heat mats and grow lights and warmth. It's warmer than a polytunnel because it's made of glass, and so I'm starting things that need heat off in there, and some things need to be kept warm right until the last frost date, which for here is at least another month's time, and having to move them about because I'm running out of space. Realistically, the greenhouse is about half the size I need. It's less than half the size of the one I had where I lived before, but I'm making the most of it. And so using my polytunnel, I've made cloches in there so that some tender plants which aren't frost hardy, such as tomatoes, can go in there and continue growing but be protected from low night temperatures. What I'm doing is in the evening covering the pots with a double layer of fleece and then putting the cloche over the top. That's actually a cover for a large planter I have here that the clips broke on the planter, so I can't use it there anymore. It's quite handy in here. Easy enough to make a cloche just from anything that's bendy, such as wire, and then cover it with a large sheet of polythene, clear polythene such as the kind of wrapping you'd get on a mattress or a very large clear bag. And I'm going to be making that kind of cloche in here too, as the plants in my greenhouse get bigger and bigger and bigger and need to move out. It's a bit mad really. One of the reasons why I have so many plants is I am trying out what will grow well here in Wales. So I've got a stupid number of tomatoes. There's like about 60 varieties, but that's not what I'm planning to grow every year. I'm really hoping to whittle it down, and so it's still discovering what will be productive and flavoursome here on a Welsh hillside and what really isn't worth bothering. Some of them are also for outside. They're the more blight resistant ones. I've only had the polytunnel since August 21, so this is actually my second summer planting it out with summer crops, so still early days yet, and I have a daft amount of aubergines because I really like them. Every day I remove the fleece in the morning and also the cloche hoop when it's getting hotter in here because I don't want to frazzle the plants, and every evening I replace it all again. Here we have some hoops made of wire that's waiting for the next lot of plants, and I'll be covering those too. That's a lonely brassica that we've harvested and I just need to pull it out. The staging is filling up with all kinds of plants which are not frost sensitive, so they're okay if it gets frosty. This one, the labels have fallen over, I need to put those up. And in the evening though, I still cover it with a layer of fleece just in case, because it is chilly in here at night. As much as possible, I'm leaving the brassicas to flower because it brings in bees and hoverflies and wasps and all kinds of beneficial insects. Also, the little flowering shoots are edible, but I am leaving them for the wild things mostly. This is to help increase biodiversity. Though when they fall over, like this one has done here, I am pulling them out because too much debris on the ground will create a habitat for slugs, and I don't want lots and lots of slugs in here waiting to munch my summery crops. There's still loads and loads to eat. We're eating green leaves and shoots and rocket and all kinds of salads and herbs. I'm leaving this coriander to go to flower now because what I want are the green seeds, which are utterly delicious, a kind of citrusy coriander flavour. Can't buy them in the shops. They are wonderful, sprinkled on salads, on hummus, absolutely divine. So it's well worth having some bolting coriander just for that. It is getting quite jungly, isn't it? Down at the bottom of the tunnel, I've got the potatoes in sacks. These are first earlies, and I need to protect these leaves next week because we're going to get low temperatures, freezing temperatures at night again. And next door, most of these are volunteers from last year, and I just popped another couple of potatoes in. This is the indoor asparagus bed. The asparagus is looking lovely. A friend, Saron, who has lived here for some years, recommended growing asparagus under cover in Wales for a productive crop. I've also got 2 beds outside. And we've got all kinds of good things to eat here in amongst the garlic. These are flowering radish, which are so pretty, and you can eat them in a salad. But I am waiting for the lovely, spicy green pods. Oh, they're so good. I've planted 5 fruit trees in the polytunnel, 3 peaches and 2 nectarines. They're in here to help protect them from peach leaf curl. So they're very, very young. And the idea is that they will be trained to grow in a kind of fan, so they won't take up too much space and air will still go through them. And here I've got elephant garlic, which will grow perfectly well outside, but here in the polytunnel it will be bigger. At the top of the polytunnel there's my little potting station, which is a bit of a tip at the moment, but that's because I'm busy working here. This is real life, and if this was really neat, you'd know that I wasn't actually doing anything. I'm using 2 main kinds of peat-free compost from Dale and Fertile Fibre. And here we have my lovely pile of cardboard, which is waiting to make more beds and pathways in the garden. Delighted that the grapevines have survived the winter. They're starting to come into leaf, but sadly, all of my lemon verbena died. Our wildlife pond is coming to life. I'm planning some more trees for down the bottom. We've still not got rid of those thistles. They're sort of like low priority because there's so many other things to do, but it's about time that they come out now. There's loads of thistles in the field next door, which is actually where they come from. The comfrey patch that I inherited here is looking brilliant. It's got the most amazing purple flowers. Just look at these. And when I put them on Instagram, someone commented that they think this is a Welsh variety, which is really exciting, from a nursery that now no longer exists. Around it are nettles, which I am going to dig out. I have a lot of patches of nettles, and I don't want them here because I want to be able to access the comfrey without getting my hands stung. We're going to quickly go past the edible hedge here, which needs a lot of pruning. Down here is one of the outdoor asparagus beds, and the asparagus is only just starting to appear. Up here, past the tree and some trees here that are from my previous garden, and I'm now going to put them in the ground. I'm going to make another fruit cage here, one which I just put netting over during the summer because I've actually got an overspill of fruit now, and we love soft fruit, so that's what those metal hoops are doing there. Delighted with this pear tree that was here when we moved here, and as far as I can recall, this is the first time that the pear trees have flowered, so I am quite excited about the thought of pears. The fruit cage has finally had all of the mesh put on it by my son Rory, helped with my other son Theo during the Easter break when I had all my kids home. That was great fun. And what we need to do now is finish fastening the different parts of the mesh together so that nothing can creep in. The good news is insects can get through these holes, and I'm pretty sure wrens will be able to too, but it's not going to be so easily accessible for magpies, jays and squirrels, which is mainly what I'm trying to protect the fruit from, and it will dissuade most of the birds, which have plenty of other fruit in this garden. There's so much fruit here, and I've got more that I'm going to be planting adjacent to the sheep field so that they won't be sitting outside the fruit cage looking sad and starving to death. They'll have plenty of other things, but we'll also get some fruit too. So I'd like to show you inside it. This corner here has what's left of the equipment that was used for covering the structure, so that needs putting into the shed. And for some weird reason, my son left lots of bits of wire on there, so I need to tidy that up too. He's gone back to university. And I've got a few bits that still need to be mulched with card and wood chip. The fruit bushes are looking great. One thing I never got around to this winter was pruning them. It was on my list of things to do, but it was a particularly grisly winter. So I just didn't have the time, but you know, it will sort itself out. I'm going to be putting more flowers in here, more fruit. These are blueberries and they're coming into leaf. And there's several trees in here too. There's going to be hanging baskets of tomatoes from this wonderful strong frame. At the moment, I'm leaving the door open most of the time because the birds like going in there. There's a blackbird that gets quite cross, it seems, if I don't have the door open. They're going to be disappointed when I close it permanently for the summer. Down the side of the polytunnel here, we have dead plants waiting to come out of the pot. The winter did kill a lot of things, even killed established rosemary bushes in the front garden, and also some plants that are just waiting to go into the garden. I've got to sort out quite a bit of the area adjacent to the stock fencing. That's mainly a courtesy thing because Di put it up and it's almost new. It was put up last year and I don't want it to get all overgrown and horrible. But also I want to be able to plant trees and espalier them and more flowers and just sort of increase the diversity of this area down the side of the polytunnel. The plastic is here just as a temporary measure, whereas here by the broken bird feeder, which is going to get fixed, we've got loads of nettles and these all stay. That's my major nettle area, though there's plenty more in the garden, and every day there are more lambs. These seem to be, hello sheep, the last lambing ewes in this area, and it's delightful. They've just started to form lamb gangs when they go whizzing about in the evening. The field is absolutely massive, it goes right the way up the hill and also beyond those trees there. You may remember me making these beds last year, And there are some weeds that I need to hand weed out, and thistles and a few nettles. And what I'm going to do with this bed, which was experimental mulches using sheep's dags and sort of bits of plant, is make this another perennial bed and a diggy bed. So I've put in a rhubarb, which obviously isn't diggy, and I'm starting to transfer the Chinese artichokes from the main bed here in the orchard to here because they're spreading like crazy, and you dig those up to eat them. And I've also put in some Jerusalem artichokes which haven't sprouted yet, and this is also where I'm going to put the yak on. So a diggy bed, because all of those things apart from the rhubarb need to be dug out. And there's more rose bay willow herb popping up here which I need to weed out. The last of the leeks are coming out now, and I leave some in to go to flower, just like this one. Beautiful flowers, really attractive, and they provide wonderful food for all kinds of insects, and they bring in beneficial predators. So I leave some leeks to flower for biodiversity. Really glad most of the broad beans survived, even if they are a little bit later than I would have imagined. And the perennial bed here is filling up with loveliness once more. These are the Krosny, the Chinese artichokes, which are spreading. And because I also use this bed for growing annual veg, I don't really want them taking over, hence them going in the diggy bed. Sea kale is starting to sprout, but the winter killed my perennial kale, which is unheard of. Not had that before in all the years I've been growing perennial kale. Fortunately, my friend Adams survived, and he sent me some shoots. 3 different kinds of perennial kale: Tauntondine, which is the one that was killed, and also Dorberton, and a variegated Dorberton. So these will be going in the ground over the next few days. This is Timperley early rhubarb. It came from my previous garden, and it is brilliant, so productive, and having a fantastic time on the Huglet. It was disappointing to lose so many brassicas, including most of my sprouting broccoli, during the winter, but I'm making the most of things, and the beds here in the back garden are gradually filling up. I'm a little bit behind where I wanted to be with my potatoes. The first and second earlies are in. I've got all the main crops still to plant, hopefully today. And there's also parsnips have been sown, the first lot of carrots, radish. Lots of peas have been planted. I can't direct sow peas here. They'll just get eaten by voles. And you can see where I've been putting things under fleece to just help protect them from weather. So even things that are hardy, like little baby cabbage plants, I'm just popping them under fleece at the moment because the weather is sort of one thing, then it's another. It's beautiful sunshine. I'm swimming around in a t-shirt. Tomorrow it could be snowing, who knows? So better to just have a little bit of protection while they're settling in. This is our lovely outdoor shelter, which when I had it built, I built it so that I had a place to host courses here. I thought of it as my outdoor kitchen, which gave me a romantic notion of cooking up a storm outside from vegetables from the garden, which I do still intend to do. And that's one of the ways I'm going to be using this space. It's also got plenty of storage, as you can see. And my house here is called Isla Bryn, very common name in Wales. And so my children decided that this is Isla Barn. So it's now become known as our little barn, except during Easter, when all my kids were home and playing games, you might be able to see some bottles still behind here, when it became Isla Bar. So multi-purpose, beautiful shed. We all love it, and I've hosted 2 courses here, no dig grow your own courses so far. Both of them sold out. I was so excited. It's always a bit worrying when you put up courses because it's like, will anybody come? And actually they're doing pretty well. I'm so chuffed, and I'm going to be putting some more dates up, and also different kinds of courses, wildlife gardening, and there'll be food courses and homesteading skills ones here too. I'll be putting them on my website over the next few days, and the information will go down in the blurb here. And anyway, during the courses, it's been so nice getting feedback from people about this space, because you're never quite sure how it's going to work. And it's been great. It's a lovely shelter. There's plenty of room for people. I can run electricity to it so we can boil the kettle. And it's just been so nice. There's windows, so it's a light space too. And I will have a kind of waxed fabric cover which will stretch out to the fir trees here, so it can go out as a kind of extra rain / sun cover, but also pull down if there's a time when you fancy being snug inside. It's one of our projects for this year. I'm really making the most of this lovely sunny day. It's just gorgeous, and I'm going to be, actually next I'm going to be hanging the washing out, but then I'm going to be finishing getting the potatoes in. I hope you've enjoyed this tour of my homestead. If you like my videos, then please do remember to subscribe. And it's goodbye from me and the rhubarb.